item number 6. I wonder what that is. Russell Lane. Now, I'm aware that this is obviously a hot potato, as we all are. This proposal was acted upon by the ward councillors, the proposal, based on concerns from residents. So I am mindful of I am mindful of both sides. Now, over the last few days, personally, I don't know about the other members of the committee, I've had an awful lot of emails opposing this proposal. I've also had a few, but not as many, to be honest with you, supporting it. So that's where we are. Now, before we start with the discussion on this, I want to refer to the report, which is in front of us, specifically point 9.14. And what I'm proposing is that this 9.14 is actually struck off the report and omitted from the report, as it appears that it's not reflective of the views of the East Barnet Residents Association. And now, one second. So, as I haven't seen the report from the East Barnet Residents Association, and I have no knowledge as to the contents, I'm certainly going to give the association the benefit of the doubt, and again ask that this point 9.14 is removed from 9.14 is removed from the report.
The first 9.14, because there's two of them.
So, as we now move forward, I'm going to ask the chairman, who has already submitted that he wishes to speak at the meeting. The chairman of the Resident Association, Daniel, I'd like to come forward, please.
Good news is you've got something just to clarify, it's the first paragraph, because there are two.
Can't hear you. Could you speak up, please?
So there are two paragraphs, 9.14 in the report. It's the first of those that's been taken out.
Right. Mr. Hope.
Thank you. Dear Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Daniel Hope, and tonight I'm speaking as Chairman of the East Barnet Residents Association. East Barnet, we wish to comment on some of the remarks in the report and the broader issues regarding this unwanted proposal. Following the last meeting of the Residents Forum, local people were unhappy. They had not been informed or consulted over this unwanted proposal. Concerned by this, and at our own expense, we produced a flyer and distributed to 1,000 homes around Bugle, encouraging them to take part in the consultation. Whilst we did not expect a medal from the council, we did not expect an attack as well. And I'm grateful for your apology for the withdrawal of that.
Could you speak up, please?
I'll try. Skip forward now because I had some comments about the item which have been withdrawn. It is on the substance of the proposal. The East Barnet Residents Association stands behind the 3,000 plus residents who have registered their firm opposition to East Barnet. It is notable that despite assertions by officers that the crossing is hazardous, they can produce no data to support it. Not only that, but people with real local knowledge of this area, including those with mobility issues, are bemused that the council thinks that there are problems crossing this road. It is surely a matter of deep regret that so much taxpayers' money has been spent before consulting with residents, businesses or local associations. Had we been consulted at an early stage, we would have forwarded the stroke of local opinion to the council, preventing all the effort on this scheme. We also share the concerns of residents and traders over the awful repercussions of the shops and businesses along Russell Lane from the loss of parking spaces, should this be approved. I urge councillors to reject this proposal following recommendation 1.3. Should for any reason the committee wish to override the reviews, then we would also recommend that in recommendation 1.4 be amended that any proposals should come back to this committee so the decision be taken in public by councillors and not to be decided by officers. Thank you very much for your time, and I welcome your questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hope. Councillor Turner.
Well, it was just to say thank you for coming and talking to us, and thank you to everybody else who came. Very familiar with Russell Lane, was never aware of an issue in particular. Pleased, I suppose, initially that having heard from some residents, some residents obviously do think there's an issue, but it was brought to the committee that the consultation was started. I think that's a good thing. As the chairman said, we've all received a lot of correspondence, and I know that I've received plenty myself, most of which echoes what you're saying. And so really, as I say, it was just to say thank you for all of that, and that certainly helps to inform what I think we've decided today.
Councillor Salinger.
Can I echo what Councillor Turner has said? I think we should always be grateful for any body that wants to encourage other people to get involved in the civic life of this borough and to respond to the public consultations that are going on, whether they're on health matters, road safety matters, finance matters, or anything else, because the public don't get engaged in the way that we would like them to. And therefore, to have someone who's managed to stir up enough interest in this is very welcome. Personally, I can't see, I know the road well, use it frequently. I can't see the justification for it. And I'm surprised, as Mr. Hope was, that this got as far as it did before it came to me. So much resources was put into it without, had members been sounded out at an earlier stage, we probably wouldn't have gone ahead even for the preliminary work to be done, because I don't think there would have been any support for it. Having said that, and having looked at the cost, there is a slight case actually, because I think on around the grass verges, I couldn't spot when I looked at it any dropped curbs, and actually a dropped curb on the edges of the grass verge at some point would have
Tarmac bits, the bits that are already tarmac on the
the
edge.
bits that are already tarmac, so that someone in a wheelchair could actually get across there more easily. Might be justified, but I couldn't justify anything else.
I mean, thank you, Councillor Salinger. This is obviously something that we can obviously look at after we've heard from Mr. Bragg in a few minutes' time, whether there should be a variation to the original proposal, but this is something that we can.
Yeah, I'd like to echo, I think what I'm most astounded about on this is how, and can someone just, how much money have we spent on this already? Exactly.
And
time. If we've spent that much money without the committee saying anything, whether they think this was good, bad or indifferent, astounds me. If that money had been spent on planting up the Green Avenue, I would have well understood it. To try and enhance what the residents remember what it looked like.
Yep.
That would be
Well, that remains to be seen. Just coming back to Mr. Hope, is there anything else that you...
I've said what I've got to say.
Okay.
Any more questions I'll answer.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Chairman of the committee, for coming to speak on that. And of course, we all value the input from the East Barnet Residents Association, who are integral to our borough, to our part of the area of our borough, for their input and the sterling work that they do. So thank you very much. Before I bring in Mr. Paul Bragg, I want to directly move over to one of the ward councillors who's responsible for the politics down there, your ward, Councillor Russell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. The scheme was proposed in February 2012 when my ward colleague, Councillor Andreas Tamburidis, received a small number of concerns from local residents saying that there were not adequate crossing opportunities for pedestrians and pedestrians were using the gaps where vehicles were turning. There were also concerns raised with regards to visibility of vehicles parking on the corners and also large vehicles mounting on the verge. When any concerns are raised by residents, the councillors representing you will liaise with the council officers to determine the best possible solution. With regards to the vehicles mounting the verge, this problem was resolved last year when I liaised with the council officers and wooden bollards were installed in the areas highly affected. When this scheme was initially proposed in February 2012, at this point, your councillors had no views on the proposed scheme until the council officers had worked on the design and feasibility of the proposed scheme, and there has also been a consultation with the residents. As a high number of emails and letters were received with concerns to this proposed scheme, a formal consultation letter was therefore sent out to all neighbouring residents in June 2012. I have visited the Russell Lane to check out all the proposed crossings, and I believe there are sufficient hard-standing areas on either side of each of the gaps where the vehicles turn. In fact, I saw people crossing safely using these hard-standing areas. I have also asked the council officers to find out whether there have been any accidents relating to pedestrian crossings in Russell Lane, as I believe that safety would be a very important factor in making a decision on this proposed scheme. I'm pleased to have received confirmation that the police records show that there has been one slight personal injury accident involving a pedestrian in the last 36 months. Therefore, taking this into consideration, and in view of the high number of responses from residents opposing the proposed scheme, and the fact that there will be 11 parking spaces lost, I will therefore be voting against the proposed scheme. I just think it's such a waste of money, and I'm so sorry that this money has been lost already. £15,000 will go to some better use. And what we were saying earlier in the previous, hopefully maybe with the Barnet pedestrian crossing.
And reduce the workload of the highways department.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Let's turn to the actual findings and the report itself from Mr. Paul Bragg.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, as Councillor Rutter has said already, officers were asked to look at the concerns that were raised. That's what we've done, come up with some possible solutions and consulted on them. And having done that, then obviously there has been a number of issues raised and objections, clearly to be considered tonight. In terms of the scheme, it is proposed for 3 crossing points. The scheme could be less than that. It could be reduced to 2, it could be 1, potentially, in order to do something to deal with the concerns that have been raised. So it is possible to amend the scheme should the committee members wish to consider this option. In relation to the point that Councillor Sandra raised earlier about the potential to drop the curbs at the existing hard-standing points, officers did look at that as a possibility, but felt that the sight lines and the location of those was not appropriate to do so. It wouldn't be wise to encourage people to cross at those particular points for that reason. So that's the reason why that's not being proposed as an option. And I believe that if it did go ahead, officers would still be of that view, whether it's say that it would not be wise to encourage people to try and cross that into otherwise than that, I think it has to be agreed either way whether the scheme should proceed at all, whether or not the scheme could proceed with an amended version of less than the 3 crossing points, or whether it goes ahead as proposed with the 3 points.
Before I go out to the committee for discussion, if anybody wants to discuss this, was it actually put in the consultation at all, the option for variance, or was it, this is it, how do you feel about it?
I believe that was the way it was consulted, yeah.
What, this is it or
The
not?
scheme with the 3 crossing points.
Yeah,
This is it,
okay.
this is it.
Right, members?
Chairman, I don't think there's any support for the scheme. Can I move that we take no further action?
Right, so the vote is, let's go straight to the vote then, because it seems that there's a strong feeling against it. The question I'm going to put forward for voting is really whether this should be shelved, put on the back burner, finished off with, ended.
No popular.
Those in favour
No
of
further action.
no further action, raise your hands.
Yes, sir.